Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Hope you're having the best day ever. If it is your first time here, my name is Valeria and today I'm going to give you my top 10 tips to get good grades in school. So for the record, I did get really good grades in school. I graduated both high school and college with at least a 4.0. I promise to go ahead and take my word for that, and let's go ahead and jump right in. So tip number one is going to be prepared. Don't let assignments catch you by surprise. What I used to do in both college and high school is that as soon as I got an assignment due date, I would write that in my calendar as soon as possible. So if you get the syllabus on the first day of school, go ahead and do it then. If you get your assignments on a monthly basis, go ahead and do it then. If you get them on a weekly basis, as soon as you find out about an assignment, go ahead and write that in your calendar. So I did use a desk calendar like this one. I love that there's a lot of space in here so you can have plenty of space to write the assignments. I did use different colors for each class. So if I knew if I had an assignment in purple, it was an English assignment. I knew if I had an assignment like a discussion post in orange, I knew that it was going to be for math, something like that, something along those lines. I do really recommend doing that. So writing assignments down is going to save you a lot of stress. The sooner the better. This way, if there is an overlap with maybe an event, maybe you have a vacation or a competition or a wedding or something like that scheduled, you can easily see if there's an overlap. You can see this days before, weeks before, maybe even months before, and that way you can know that you have to have that assignment completed early, and that way you won't be stressing prior to this event. The second thing you're going to want to do is have reminders. I personally use Google Calendars. I use Outlook calendars on my phone. Like I mentioned, I like to have it written down on my desk calendar, but I also do use these colors to write little stars on my personal calendar. So I have my personal calendars that I use for budgeting or events or like birthday parties, things like that. So I have one in my bedroom and I have one in my guest room. And if I have a little star on there, depending on the color, I know that I have an assignment due. And those are just reminders that I have for myself. They're kind of like a little code, like nobody else would know by looking at it, like why there's a little purple star on it. But I know, and that really helps me a lot, because there are professors that would, for example, give me assignments every Wednesday. So I just automatically knew if it was Wednesday, I had an assignment. But then there are professors, and especially teachers in high school, who kind of just give you assignments at random, or whenever the lesson calls for it. So I definitely suggest having reminders. You can use sticky notes. I love sticky notes. They're a little bit pricey, but I use them generously because I think they're a great tool to have. This next tip is going to be spend time on what matters most, and that is in regards to writing an essay. So the thing is that I noticed that when I would write an essay at home, it would take me like 5 days to complete it, and a lot of that process was just brainstorming it and doing the first rough draft. And then I was spending very little time actually polishing the essay and making it pretty and having the right references on there and just using the right grammar, checking all that good stuff. So when I was a junior in high school, I was preparing for my AP exam, and we would get timed for our essays because in the AP exam you have like 2 hours to do the whole thing. So our essays was like a 30-minute section, so we did go ahead and do a whole bunch of practice ones of those. And I was getting really good grades on them. And of course, the fact that we write it in 30 minutes is taken into account, so please don't write an essay in 30 minutes and turn that in. But like I said, it was taking me days to figure out my topic and get my essay started, which reminds me of that SpongeBob episode where he's up all night writing his paper and he just writes the word "the." Literally me. That is literally so accurate. So what I started doing was I started timing myself at home. So if I had, for example, a whole week to write an essay and I was spending 3 days like coming up with what it was going to be about and like getting it started, and then 2 days like making it pretty, it was way too long. So I started giving myself 30 minutes to write a rough draft and brainstorm the whole thing, just bullet points, first draft, and then after that the whole rest of the time that it took me to perfect it. It cut my essay time in like half, and this is of course for like 30 minutes for like your standard 5-paragraph essay. If you're in college and you have like a 5-page assignment, just adjust it accordingly. But this tip really works. It really helped me, and I hope it helps you guys. This tip is like the 2.0 of the previous tip. I think they go together, and this is avoid dead ends. So listen carefully, guys. I learned this the hard way. I wish somebody had told me this, and maybe some of you guys have figured this out by now, but if you need to use references for your main ideas or your main points in an essay, find the references first. Let me say it again. Find the references first. I used to write my whole essay and then spend 5 hours reading every single academic journal and textbook and every single thing that I could possibly find that was related to the topic and come up with nothing. Like, I just couldn't find the right stuff to support my main points. So I started doing it backwards. So I would spend 1 hour doing research on the topic, find 3 great references and 3 great main ideas from those references, like basically 1 per reference. And it was amazing. Just write your paper around those things and it will save you so much time, and you will probably write a much better paper because you have that supporting evidence. So yeah, if your paper requires that you use references, go ahead and do this step before you do the rough draft and time yourself. Another tip is going to be read efficiently. Now, this is obvious. You want to understand what you're learning when you're learning and reviewing the material that is going to be on your exam. The thing is, don't do what I used to do. I used to basically rewrite the whole entire textbook by hand, and it wasn't on purpose. It was just that I wanted to try to remember everything. It was taking way too long, and unless I could use my notes for the test, they felt kind of like a waste of time. So do take notes. This doesn't mean that you shouldn't take notes. However, I was smarter about it. So what I would do is read a paragraph and summarize it, and that was my note. Because sometimes you want to go ahead and write down the main ideas, but you don't know what's going to be on the test or the quiz. And just because there's a vocab word in there doesn't mean that that's the only thing that you should write, just the vocab words. So read a paragraph, summarize it, and write it down in your notes. If you can't summarize it, chances are you didn't really understand it that well and you need to read it again. So again, don't spend too much time on them. They don't have to be color coded. They don't need to be aesthetically pleasing. You just have to write them. To be totally honest with you, I can't really read my own notes because I have really ugly writing and I usually do it really quick too. Yeah, I can't read my own notes. That's just the truth. But something about writing it down is going to help you remember it, and the fact that you're summarizing it is going to help you comprehend it. So it works. It really, really does. Definitely recommend. Another tip for reading efficiently is if you feel yourself going into autopilot and you just can't remember what the heck the last 2 pages that you read were just about, go ahead and switch tasks. Do something else. Get up, eat a snack, put your laundry away, go away for like 10 to 15 minutes and do something completely unrelated and take a mental break, and then you can just come back and pick up wherever you left off. The next tip I think is actually pretty self-explanatory, so I want to put them together because they're very brief and concise. Be proactive and set short-term goals. By be proactive, I mean avoid having to catch up. Avoid having to improve bad grades. Don't get a bad grade to begin with. I know it's really easy to really early in the semester be like, oh, I have so much time to, focus on this, whatever, like I can just slack off in the beginning. Don't do it. I can tell you from personal experience, it is so much harder to get a grade up than to just maintain a good grade. I don't know why. It really is that way. It's going to save you time and effort. And along with that, set short-term goals. So instead of saying something like, I'm going to get a good grade at the end of the semester, say, I'm going to get a good grade on Friday's quiz. And that is ultimately going to get you to that ultimate goal and your long-term goal, but it's going to also make it a lot more attainable and make it a lot more realistic to where you will stay motivated. My next tip is going to be remember the why. So basically, always look at the bigger picture. When you're sitting there in the middle of the night and you're like, why am I doing this? I'm so tired. I want to go to sleep. Remember why you're doing this. Are you trying to get into your dream college? Are you maybe already in college and you just want to be done with it, get your degree, and move on to bigger and better things? Whatever it is, don't ever lose sight of that and remember that it'll be worth it in the end. My next tip is do not multitask while you're studying. Even if you're the master of multitasking, just don't do it. When you're learning something new, you need to focus all of your cognitive processes on this new information, because as you're reading it, you need to absorb it, you need to understand it, you need to digest it, and you need to remember it, and that is a lot for your brain to do. So don't multitask, don't have the TV on, don't be texting, don't be watching YouTube videos. Whatever it is, put it away until you're done studying. I do have a video coming up on different types of memory, so do stay tuned for that. My next and last tip is going to be set the ambiance. I know this one's a little bit weird, but set the mood. This used to help me a lot. I'm personally a night owl, so whenever I think of doing homework, I think of like having the light turned down, the TV off, it being quiet. I know it's not always possible, or if you're doing your homework when everybody's kind of awake and around and, you know, just making noise, but maybe turn on some rain music or something like that. Your environment can play a huge role in your learning process. So go ahead and do whatever you need to do to get in the mood and get in the mindset of learning and studying. Along with that, I want to say, don't do your homework on your bed. When you do your homework on your bed, it is going to make it harder for you to fall asleep at night, because you subconsciously start to associate your bed with work. So you'll be laying there for a lot longer than you normally would if you start doing your work on there. And vice versa, whenever you are sitting on your bed working, you are probably more likely to get sleepy or maybe feel a little bit lazy, because it's bed and that's where you normally rest. So definitely use the desk. If you don't have a desk, I know I didn't have a desk at home when I was in high school, but I did have a desk when I was at home during college, and it really helped me feel like I was working and not like I was chilling. So it really helped me improve my quality of the work that I was doing. If you don't have a desk, just use the kitchen table. I used to use the kitchen table all the time when I was in high school, and it works just the same. So do think of it as a job. That does help, and also take pride in the work that you turn in. I know your time is super valuable, and there are so many other things that need our attention besides school. We have extracurricular activities, we have jobs, we have families, and self-care and self-development and growth are so important, and that does take time. But don't forget, the sweat and potentially, at least in my case, the tears will be worth it. And if you're watching this video, props to you for taking your education so seriously and holding yourself accountable for your academic success. I really hope this video was helpful to you in some way, and if not, in the very least it was entertaining. I will see you in the next video. Thank you so much for sticking around, and have a good one. Bye.